Let's join together.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and Chag Sameach. It's great to see all of you on Zoom. We thought we'd begin, since we're all on Zoom again, with a return to some of what we did last year when we were all together on Zoom, and begin with a video to inspire us towards the new holiday that we greet in an hour. So, Max, roll the tape.
It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. The annual crowd's shuffled in. There's a Zadie sitting next to me, making Kaddish for all of his kin.
He says, sons, do you have any inquiries? Like why we trade bread for matzot? And this maror we eat, dipping bitter and sweet, and why we don't keep the door closed.
Oh, ma, nishtana.
La da di da. That's why we rejoice tonight. And Jews, although pursued by the enemy, with God's help it turned out all right. Nation of Israel was tired and sore, praying for redemption someday. Moshe Rabbeinu came and burst through the door. He said, hey, let us out of this country. And saying no to God, roar on a plague attack. You ought to know by now. All that hard work gave us broken backs, but then we were gone in a hurry. Well, the Pharaoh, he changed his mind. Yeah, but we never had it down. Matzah bread can't rise up, it's time to move out. Moving out of Egypt. Clean the house, change bands, strangers in a strange land, celebration, Jewish liberation. Reading from the Haggadah, Adirhu and Haggadah. 10 plagues, 4 sons, who knows one? I know one. Keep the house clean, Father buffer to Zuzim, Geffen Liebers and Kedem, next year in Jerusalem. Dainu, Charo said, we sold all of our chametz. Tell me, what is all this for? I can't take much more maror. God set a bush on fire, Moses saw it burn, and still today we're learning. God set a bush on fire, and when we are gone, we'll see the flame burn on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Woke up so red, woke up so white. Tonight is different from all other nights. It's 'cause of what God did for us.
Chag Sameach, everyone. It's great to be together on Zoom. And Shabbat Shalom. What we're going to do this evening is celebrate Shabbat as we do each week. And then following Shabbat, we'll greet each other Shabbat Shalom. And those who would like to remain for a brief Seder ritual, you're invited to continue to join with us. And then after that, if people want to stay out on breakout rooms for a little bit and greet one another, we invite you to do so as well. So if you have Shabbat candles near you, we invite you to place them in front of you, which invites Max, who's behind our TBE tree this evening. And so thank you, Max, for highlighting people with Shabbat candles. I hope everyone feels healthy tonight, but I'm sure some of you are feeling a little under the weather, but I'm glad that you can join us by Zoom. And so let us greet Shabbat. The cantor is muted.
Just making sure you're paying attention. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת ויום טוב.
Amen. Rabbi Sherman, are you going to lead us?
Yes, I'm just reacclimating to the Zoom space. And so let us, as we welcome in Shabbat, along with the holiday of Passover, we still invite and celebrate the goodness of the week, and we reflect on all that built up into the preparing for this evening. And so we continue with words of Lecha Dodi.
Shamor v'zachor b'diborecha Hishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad U'shemo echad Leshem ultiferet Velitila Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi
able to reposition yourself in a way to greet the Sabbath bride. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha, uv'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, boi chala, olecha dodi likrat kala, o pnei Shabbat nekabela, olecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, pnei Shabbat
We continue to direct our hearts with intention and purpose towards Jerusalem as we rise in body or in spirit with words of Baruch.
La 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 Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Lai la lai, la la lai lai 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 lai, lai lai lai, la la lai lai lai. Lai, 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 lai.
We join together with our breath as we find the words of Shema in our hearts and in our minds, and we join together.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
We join together in words of Hashkivenu and Let There Be Love, reflecting on the power of community and the love between and around us, and on this holiday of Passover, certainly reflecting on the pursuit of freedom and wholeness in our world for so many. So let us join together.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be
understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. V'ha'amidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Many of the Hasidic masters teach that in the preparing for the holiday of Passover, we clean out all of the chametz in our homes, and we remove all of the leavened products from our homes. And in doing so, it also has a parallel experience of removing sort of the clutter in our lives that prevents us from being truly in touch or aware or connected to the beauty and blessings around us. And so if you have reflected on this and in preparation for this evening, or if you're using this holiday in the pursuit of cleaning out some of that clutter within our lives, I invite us to think about the blessings that might unfold and create space for in our lives. And so if you have some of those in your mind and in your heart, I invite you to place those blessings in the chat box as we join together in words of Adonai Sfatai, opening our hearts and opening our minds to all the blessings in our world.
יפתח. ויגיד תהילתך.
Let's continue with a little individual introspection meditation, and then we'll continue together with a nigun from Ukraine. Thinking of the modern plague of war in our world, we pray for peace. Oseh shalom b'mromav.
Shabbats, we send blessings and prayers of the light and the joy and the freedom that we celebrate on this day. We send those prayers especially to those whom we love and those who are in need of healing this Shabbat, whether it is a healing of mind, a healing of body, a healing of soul. If there is someone you are thinking about and sending them prayers of love and strength, please put their names in the chat now that we may hold them in our hearts as together we pray Misha Berach.
Source of strength, who bless the ones before us, Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Isheperach imoteinu mekor habracha lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, a renewal of body, a renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And of course, each week we give thanks for the sacred moments we've shared. And I just want to begin by acknowledging the really incredible nature of being able to gather on Zoom on the night of the first Seder and on Shabbat. So let's begin with a heart tap. I know I am in Philadelphia with family. I know people are coming from far and wide. I know some of you are quarantining, and I hope you're feeling okay. But it's really great to see everyone together. I send love from Rabbi Sapphire, who with her children is having a Seder a little earlier than we are, but she says hello as well. Let's acknowledge anyone here who is feeling better because they're recuperating from illness or COVID. We want to acknowledge you and just are grateful that you're feeling better this week. How about birthdays? Anyone celebrating a birthday this week? Sometimes a birthday that falls on Passover and gets a kosher for Passover birthday cake.
Ozzy had a birthday yesterday.
Oh, does he get a kosher for Passover birthday cake?
Oh no, we had a real one yesterday.
Right, but I mean in other years, because I know
sometimes.
Talia's birthday was this week and she was born on Passover. In fact, I got the call to go to the hospital at the congregational Seder. How about anniversaries? April anniversaries. Mazel tov. Didn't the Red Sox have their opening day today? Did they? I think so, at home, but they lost. All right, but it's the first day at Fenway Park. That's a Shehechianu moment in Boston. How about hearing birds or seeing buds of spring in this holiday of spring on a couple of beautiful days we've really enjoyed? Well, let us give thanks for all of these things and look inside and count our blessings as we continue with the words of Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. We say Amen.
So what we thought we would do this evening on Shabbat and Erev Pesach is to blend our Seder experience with our Shabbat service by, in the place of the sermon, telling the Magi the story of Passover. And I am very grateful because of Zoom, we can have a guest speaker. And so our guest speaker this evening is a very special guest speaker. I'm thrilled to welcome her to our virtual Bima. this evening. She is a graduate of our Gan Elohim program and a student at the Lilja Elementary School in Natick, Massachusetts. She loves soccer, reading, and ice skating. And to tell our story of Passover this evening in her own words, I welcome Elsie Sherman, a regular Shabbat observer in our community, to deliver the Magid, the telling section of the Passover. Elsie, you're on.
All Jews were once slaves in Egypt. We were freed by God and Moses. They helped us through the hardest times in our lives. It all started when Moses was born. His mother Yocheved was worried for her child. They were Jews. Moses' brother and sister, Miriam and Aaron, were worried for their brother too. Yocheved wrapped baby Moses in a blue blanket and gently set Moses in a basket, in which she softly let go, a tear running down her cheek, as the basket floated atop the Nile River. Please, Yocheved whispered. Don't worry, baby. You're fine, I promise. You see, back in the days, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, the Jews and Egyptians lived in harmony until the Egyptian king died, and Pharaoh was next in line. But Pharaoh thought no good about Jews. He thought that Jews should work for the Egyptian royalty. He was king. Why shouldn't they? Days later, Moses was found in the Nile. He was found by Pharaoh's daughter, the princess. She bent down and picked up the baby out of his basket. She named him Moses, which means brought out of the water. The princess raised Moses as her own. He was raised in Egyptian royalty. Pharaoh had his life, a long one. So when Moses grew old, he went and became a shepherd, far from Egypt. One day, while taking care of his sheep, he saw a burning bush. Moses walked toward it. He heard God's voice. It said, Moses, you aren't an Egyptian, you are a Jew, and your people aren't safe. They are still slaves in Egypt. You must go back and tell Pharaoh, let my people go. Moses did what he was told and went back to Egypt. He walked right up to Pharaoh and said, let my people go. Pharaoh's heart froze. No, no, no. Moses said to Pharaoh, let my people go 10 times. And each time Pharaoh said no, God sent a horrible plague. Frogs, lice, boils, wild animals, death of firstborn son, the Nile turning to blood, bugs, pestilence, hail, and darkness. The 11th time Moses asked Pharaoh, let my people go, he finally says yes. But he also said, go before I change my mind. All the Jews heard this and rushed to their homes. They tried to make bread, but it didn't have time to rise, so it turned into matzah. Moses was in the front, leading all the Jews to freedom, until they came to the Red Sea. The Red Sea was in front of them, and Pharaoh's army was behind them. Then Moses heard God again. This time God said, Moses, put your walking stick into the sea. Again, Moses did what he was told and put his walking stick in the sea. The Red Sea split. All the Jews ran across, and the sea closed right on Pharaoh's army. It took the Jews 40 years to find their home, Israel. When they did, Miriam led everyone in song together.
Elsie, that was amazing. Do you write a lot of stories in school? And how often do you write? Do you keep a journal or anything? Or you only write when you have an assignment in school? Or do you like to write stories?
I like to write stories.
Yeah, well, you're a beautiful writer. I hope you write lots and lots of stories and share them with communities for a long, long time to come. So happy Passover. Did you help cook anything today?
Not really.
Okay, I hope you get some yummy food later. I bet you will. Well, you're welcome. You did a beautiful job in telling the story of Passover. And so as you shared, the Jews went free and celebrated. And in that celebration, they sang the song Mi Chamocha, who is like you, O God, with a deep sense of gratitude for moving from slavery to freedom. So let's continue with the words Mi Chamocha.
Elsie, before you go, that was amazing. I'm so proud of you. I just had to tell you.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלף. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלף. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. מלכותך ראו בניך בוקי הים, לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Who is like you? Adonai. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai.
Thank you, Cantor. Before continuing with the Mourner's Kaddish, I just want us to reflect for a second, because this is a night of telling the story and transmitting that story to our children. And we just heard the story told so beautifully by one of our children. And if we think about it as a culture, this is a story that has been told for thousands of years, the story of the birth of our people. And, people wonder how the Jewish people has survived despite anti-Semitism and dispersion. And it's because the telling of our master narrative from one generation to the next, wherever we may be, whether it's in the synagogue or in a home or today on Zoom, that we transmit this tale that once we were slaves and now we are free, and we can use our freedom to bring healing to our world. And it's pretty amazing that we tell a story that happened so long ago. Many nations forget their founding narratives. Certainly, nations that do forget their founding narratives lose their way. And that's something we as an American culture have to remind ourselves, the foundational principles of our country and what ultimately binds us. But as a Jewish people, we're much older than 200 years old. We're telling a story that probably took place around 1200 BCE. So we're talking over 3,000 years. The history of America is a blink of an eye in comparison to Jewish history. And here we are once again, as we do every year, telling that story to the next generation. And we've learned, Rabbi Sherman, that you've done a beautiful job in instructing your children. And so you should...
Not just me. Leah too.
It takes a village. Exactly. It takes a village. So let us continue with words of Mourner's Kaddish. And I invite the mourners to use the chat box to record the names or names of those individuals that they're remembering this evening. I've been asked to recite the names of those who passed during the past 30 days. Our temple member, Michael Davis, the husband of Beth Davis, John Cole, the father of Brian Cole, Mark Leventhal, the brother of Alan Leventhal, George Rothman, the father of Stuart Rothman, Rosalie Shaw, the mother of Michael Shaw, Susan Sinnert, the mother of Michael Sinnert, Stanley Snyder, a temple member and the husband of Mary Ann, the father of Mark, and Nancy Stone, a temple member, the wife of Ralph Stone. I've also been asked to read the names of Arthur Gilbert, the father of Pam Remus, and Celia Nesson, the mother of Peter Nesson. And I hope that the mourners in our midst have been able to use the chat box to record the names of those individuals they're remembering, as together we recite words of Mourner's Kaddish. And so Max, if you can place the words on the screen as we continue. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach rutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomechon, uv'chayed chol Beit Yisrael, v'agalav izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach le'olam lomei omaya. The next slide. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata ta'amiran b'yama v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
So Rabbi Sherman, before you go downstairs for your Seder, and maybe we can include Leah and Nava and Azian in something during the Seder, announcements. Tomorrow morning, Passover morning services.
Yes, I hope you'll join us on Zoom at 10 o'clock as we come together to continue celebrating. We'll read some Torah, we'll sing songs of praise with Hallel, and study a little bit about Halach Ma'anya and this bread of affliction that we partake in this evening and over the next number of days. And so,
after the first day of Passover tomorrow, we'll continue to count the Omer each day. You'll see that Rabbi Sapphire is leading a counting of the Omer each night. And so you can tune in, and then there's one night of discussion. And so check your temple broadcasts. And the next Friday, we'll be in the sanctuary and on Zoom once again. And then Yizkor will take place when, Rabbi? Saturday morning?
Saturday morning at 10 o'clock.
Excellent. For our last day of Passover and Yizkor, we hope you can join us. Also, Kripalu, we are returning for the 8th annual Kripalu TBE retreat. If you're interested in joining us in Lenox, Massachusetts, please register soon. We want to make sure we have a critical mass to journey out there together as a TBE group. What we are going to do now is we are going to transition. So we are going to conclude. Why don't we do this, Cantor? Why don't we sing Dayenu? And then we will open up the microphones for about 30 seconds for those who are having a Seder in their house or headed out. Then after 30 seconds of greeting, we're going to turn off the microphones and we're going to continue with our own Seder on Zoom. The Seder is going to be the Seder liturgy until the meal. And then we invite you to eat on your own if you're alone in your home. And then following that meal, where we encourage you to consider some of the themes of the holiday, or we're going to crowdsource some ideas. So we not only thought Prince of Egypt or the Ten Commandments, but I know that Rabbi Harper, I remember Cantor Educator Rosenberg mentioned an article in the Atlantic. Do we have that to put in the chat room?
That was Rabbi Sherman.
We were on the animated
great.
movies train. Rabbi
You
Sherman was
were,
on
and
the-
someone mentioned the New York Times article today. Rabbi Sherman had the Atlantic.
And the New York
So
Times,
if
yeah.
I'll
you
put them
can
both in the
think-
chat.
Great. If you can think of something that you would encourage people to read, it could be a book, it could be an article, if they are isolating in their home and have a few hours this evening to consider the themes of Passover. We hope you will write something in the chat room, and we're going to create a whole collection of ideas together. While we do that, let's sing Dayenu, and then we'll open up the mics and come back for those who want to join us in a Seder.
Maybe Max can share the screen right now so everyone has the words for Dayenu, Max. I'll give us a good chorus. Dayenu, 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 Mitzrayim, Ilu, Hotzi, Hotzianu, Hotzianu, Mi, Mitzrayim, Hotzianu, Mi, Mitzrayim, Dayenu. Here we go. Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Middle verse. Ilu natan natan lanu natan lanu et hashabat natan lanu et hashabat Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Rabbi Sissenwein, Dayenu or Ode
One
verse?
more.
All right, the Torah. Ilu natan natan lanu et ha-Torah. Natan lanu et ha-Torah. Dayenu, 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 Dayenu.
So let's open up the mics for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then we will transition to the Passover table. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Chag Sameach.
Good Shabbos.
Chag Sameach, Shabbat Shalom.
Let's see if Max can open up the microphones.
I'm
He's-
gonna just
There we go.
Happy Passover.
Thanks for the little ones.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay. Bye.
Oh,
that's a cutie.
Great job, Elsie.
All right, Max, if we can get everyone back together. Perfect. So we are back. So if you have a Seder plate nearby, we invite you to take hold. If not, you'll see the symbols on the Zoom screen. And we are going to begin our Passover Haggadah ritual. And so each year we open up our Haggadah, and Cantor has prepared a beautiful virtual Haggadah, which we invite you to access on our website throughout the holiday. If you scroll down under, I think, Holiday Observance Passover, you'll see it, or it might be on the front homepage now. Is a beautiful Haggadah to read through. But the Haggadah always begins with an ordering. Seder literally means order. It's a very structured service. And there is a way to remember all of the parts of the Seder. And it's called Kaddish or Chatz as we walk through the ritual. And so let's begin in song.
And Rabbi, I'll be sharing I'll try to multitask since I think Max's computer crashed. So I'll try to share screens. Let's join together. Kaddish or Chatz, Karpas Yachatz, Magid Rachza, Motzi Matzah, Maror Korech, Shulchan Orech, Tzafon Barech, Halel Nirtzah. Rabbi, will you lead us?
I am muted. Yes.
Okay.
Tonight we drink 4 cups of wine. Why 4? Some say the cups represent the 4 promises of liberation God makes in the Torah. V'hotzeti, I will bring you out. V'hitzalti, I will deliver you. V'galti, I will redeem you. V'lakachti, I will take you to be my people. These themes of redemption have been interpreted as 4 stages on the path of liberation: becoming aware of oppression, opposing oppression, imagining alternatives, and accepting responsibility to act. Another interpretation for the 4 cups is that they represent the 4 worlds: physicality, emotions, thought, and essence. And still a third interpretation is that the cups represent our matriarchs, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, whose virtue informs God to liberate us from slavery. And so if you have a cup of wine close by, we invite you to share it as we continue with the blessing for the first cup of wine.
And I'd love to do a jumbotron, get some Kaddish cups up there. We can go back and forth. It's a long Kaddish tonight. Beautiful. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol am, v'romemanu mikol lashon, v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu, be'ahava shabbatot limnucha u'moadim lesimcha, chagim uzmanim lesason, et yom hashabbat hazeh, ve'et yom chag hamatzot hazeh zman cherutenu, mikra kodesh, zecher litziat mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kiddashta, mikol ha'amim v'shabbat u'moadei kodshecha, be'ahava u'vratzon, b'simcha u'v'sason hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat, v'Yisrael v'hazmanim.
Amen. And we continue with words of Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu Bazman hazeh, we say Amen.
And now our Zoom Jumbotron gets a little more challenging because we're not looking for a cup of wine, but we're looking for a bowl of water. So does anyone have a bowl of water at their table? Which, for it is at this time that there is no blessing said, but there is a hand washing that is done. Not only does it link us to the temple ritual of old, of over 2,000 years ago, but it reminds us, there's a beautiful picture for hand washing, and it reminds us of the salvific power that water brings, not only to baby Moses, as Elsie so well described, but water gives us life, and through life we possess redemptive power. And so if you can wash your hands at the table with some water, and then we'll continue with the next part of our Passover Seder. Rabbi Harper.
That's early, that's fine. The next thing that we do in our Seder, we start to eat. At this point, we're starting to get a little bit hungry, and the rabbis, in their infinite wisdom, gave us the opportunity for a little nosh. So we actually have a parsley plant from the yellow.
From the red room. Courtesy of Wendy and Sarah.
So if you have something green, something spring-like nearby, we will, and hopefully also some very salty water. I'm one of those people who makes it super duper salty. We can join together in the blessing for Karpas.
And we're saying our traditional beginning words to a bracha with the words Borei, Peri, Ha'adama. Maybe Max can put this on the screen. Join together. I'll go slow with the words you know until we get it on the screen. Baruch atah Adonai. With a special melody. Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Borei, Peri ha'adama.
Enjoy. And we start to now turn our attention to the matzah on our plates. So we should have a stack of 3. Sometimes they're in a nice little cover, sometimes they're on a plate, and they're ready to go. And so our attention is going to turn to that middle matzah. So we're going to take a moment with this beautiful reading by Trisha Arlen to think a little bit about what that matzah means. So somebody at your table you can appoint to hold on to that middle matzah and to break it in half. So I'd like to appoint Ozzy Sherman. Can you be our middle matzah breaker, my friend? So as Ozzy goes to break that middle matzah, think about this as the afflicted matzah. There are 3 matzot in this pile, one on top of the other on top of the other. The top matzah and the bottom matzah are perhaps a Pesach reminder of the 2 loaves of challah we would eat on Shabbat, but not tonight, which are themselves perhaps a reminder of the 2 portions of manna that the former slaves received in the desert from God every Friday before Shabbat. Now that's the top and the bottom, but the middle matzah, that's the afflicted matzah. It's the reminder of the unleavened bread that we ate as we fled slavery. Now, this afflicted matzah we break in half to separate ourselves, first from joy, so that we don't forget our pain, so that we don't forget the pain of others. All this pain lives in that first half of the afflicted matzah. And we will eat this first half in just a moment so that we do not forget that we were slaves, and so that we do not enslave others. We are obligated to share those memories, but with the second half of the afflicted matzah, called the afikomen, we break away from the pain so that we don't forget what can follow the sorrow, the times we enjoyed in our lives and the moments when we changed things for the better. We are obligated to share those memories too. Then, after we've told our stories and after we've eaten our meal, we search for that happiness. And we always find it, every year, the Afikomen. And everyone has a taste, so we don't forget how good it is to be alive and free. So we put our matzah back on our top and bottom pieces back, and someone is going to hide that afikomen, that second half of our broken matzah, the larger half of that matzah. And those with very sharp eyes will follow it and see where it goes, because we will need it to complete the Seder later on, depending on what you are doing next. So we turn to Halach Ma'anya as we remember that story, that affliction, that slavery. We hold up a piece of matzah as together we recite Halach Ma'anya.
Halach ma'anya, diachalu apatana, behara be'arat Mitzrayim, behara be'arat Mitzrayim, kol tichvin yetev yehor, kol titzrich yetev yifsach, hashata haba leshana haba be'arat Yisrael, hashata avde leshana haba b'nei chorin. Halach ma'anya, halach ma'anya, diachalu apatana, behara be'arat Mitzrayim, behara be'arat Mitzrayim.
We can read together in the English, Max, if you can put that back up. This is the bread of affliction that our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. All who are hungry, let them come and eat. All who are in need, let them come celebrate Passover with us. May it be God's will to redeem us from all trouble and all servitude. Next year at this season, may the whole house of Israel and all peoples be free. And so this is the point at which in our Seder we get to hear those questions, those 4 questions, very important, that help us to tell the story, to reteach the story. And we have, I hope, we have voices from younger members of our community to ask those questions in the form of a video. So let's enjoy.
מה נשתנה הלילה הזה מכל הלילות, מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים המת ומצה, המת ומצה. הלילה הזה כולו מצה, הלילה הזה כולו מצה, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים שאר ירקות, שאר ירקות. הלילה הזה מרור, מרור. הלילה הזה מרור, מרור. שבכל הלילות אנו מתפללים אבינו שתפר עמים. הלילה הזה שתפר עמים. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים ויושבינו במסובין. הלילה הזה כולנו מסובין. הלילה הזה כולנו מסובין.
And Rabbi Harper, since we did not do the 10 plagues during the main service, why don't we continue with the 10 plagues so that we can experience this ritual act? And so, Max, if you're able to go into our Passover flip book, it's on page 36 and 37. It is the 10 plagues. Perfect. And if you are at the table with wine, I don't think we'll be able to read that. So I think I will. Oh, there we go. Perfect. If you do have wine in front of you, the custom is to use your finger. Of course, we don't taste the wine, but we place it on our plates, removing one drop, reminding ourselves that we don't rejoice amidst the sorrow that descended upon the world amidst these plagues. But let's dip our finger into the glass and record each one in English and then Hebrew. So first, blood, dam, frogs, svardea, lice, kinim, beasts, arov. Number 5, cattle disease, dever. 6, boils, shechin. 7, hail, arad. 8, locusts, arbe. 9, darkness, choshech. And 10, the death of the firstborn, makat bechorot. And then, even though we're happy that the Jews escaped slavery, let us once more take a drop of wine as we together recite these modern plagues. As we continue to take a drop, hunger, war, terrorism, greed, racism, anti-Semitism, sexism, pollution of the earth, a global pandemic, and indifference to suffering. And having taken a drop and recited the plagues, let's now continue on with the words of Dayenu. One verse.
You know, I wish I had all 15 verses so I could do something different, but I'm wondering, as we sing this traditional verse, I'm wondering what for you was your Dayenu moment. What would be enough? What are you grateful for this Passover year? Ilu hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, Dayenu, 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 Dayenu,
And our last act before the meal, Rabbi Harper.
The last thing we get to do as our stomachs start to grumble is we get to eat this wonderfully appetizing thing. So matzah is this amazing food because in our Seder it represents both affliction and freedom. it takes us through the whole story. It is both the bread that our ancestors ate as slaves, the simplest food that we could make, that we could eat. This is what sustained them in Egypt. And also it was the very first thing that they got to taste as free people. And so as we take our first bites of matzah this season in just a moment, I want you to think about a moment of how something that has helped you to transition from oppression to freedom over the course of this year. What is something that has had those two sides of the coin or two sides of the matzah? So we take a piece of matzah and we'll recite the blessing together before we take a bite.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah.
And so if you can take a bite of matzah, and we're going to try something this year. We are now going to have our meal. Some people want to eat independently, or perhaps read one of the articles that's been posted, or watch the 10 Commandments, but others may want to stay in a breakout room. So what we thought we would do is greet each other by opening the mics, wishing each other a happy Passover. And then for those who stay on, Max, if you're able to place people in perhaps groups of 5, and the breakout rooms can stay as long as you'd like or roll off, but we hope if you do choose to be in a breakout room, you'll commit yourself to about 15 or 20 minutes at least, so that people have someone to dine with if they're looking forward to seeing people on Zoom. But Cantor Zell, you have your guitar, so you ready?
Avadim chayinu chayinu Faro b'mitzrayim b'mitzrayim Avadim chayinu Atza atza b'nechorin b'nechorin Avadim chayinu Atza atza b'nechorin b'nechorin Avadim chayinu chayinu Faro b'mitzrayim b'mitzrayim Avadim chayinu Atza atza b'nechorin b'nechorin Avadim chayinu Atza atza b'nechorin b'nechorin.
I guess we can end our Seder with next week in the sanctuary and on Zoom. We invite you to use the flip book to conclude the Seder, those last words, next year in Jerusalem. But let's break now for a meal. If you would like to meet others in a breakout room, continue to stay on after we greet one another, and we'll see some of you tomorrow morning. Chag Sameach, everybody. Let's open up the microphones.
Aziz and Pesach to everyone.
Chag Sameach, Shabbat Shalom.
Everybody.
Praise God.
Hag Sameach.